meeting.
Good morning, Christina. Oh, I can't. Sorry, you're muted. You're muted.
Got it.
There you go.
There we go.
Hey, so your 6 o'clock didn't go all the way.
Yes, it didn't, but now I have a 9 a.m.
We can make sure you meet that one.
That would be great. Let me turn off these fans so you don't have so much noise.
Yeah, we can't actually hear anything, so it's not bothering us.
Oh, really? Okay.
If it's bothering you, though, go ahead and turn them off.
Well, I'll just move further away.
I expected to find you out in the fields.
Oh, no, we're about to get poured on in rain. So.
Oh, we haven't had any this morning or any last night, surprisingly.
No, it's coming soon.
Yep. Yeah. I'm West Bloomfield. Lynn Morgan, the other guy here, is in Farmington. So
nice.
Hi,
How many are on the Zoom today?
well, it depends. They've been told, and this might be it if we don't get any others. We record our meetings so that we have a lot of people who join either later or through the looking at the recording of the meeting. So we're never sure how many we actually get.
Okay.
And it's just a minute or so late. So.
And here is the rain.
Wow.
I don't know if you probably can't see it.
Not yet.
Well, it's like a curtain.
Yeah, I had it last week in torrential rain.
Oh, yeah.
We've had far too much rain.
Yes, we have. This
my
has
opinion.
Been very, very, very wet season.
It's bad for my crops.
Yes.
Great for mosquitoes.
Very good for mosquitoes, and they are beefy.
They are big monsters this year.
They really, really are. I got I don't know if you can see. Do you see this?
Oh, that's a beauty.
This is actually from a paper wasp yesterday.
Oh, nasty.
Ooh.
Yeah. It happens.
Yeah, if you're an outdoorsy person, that's a chance you take.
Yes, it is.
So I'll just wait a couple of minutes. There's no reason to delay too long.
Sure.
I did tell people you might be a little later, so maybe they took that hint and decided to delay their start. But we don't need to. As I say, it's being recorded so we can publicize this afterwards.
Okay.
So you currently sitting in Sylvan Lake?
Yes, I am in I'm in what we're calling the farm barn. It's 2 shipping containers.
Oh, cool.
That we've spaced out and built a roof over, and it's a live roof. We're still in a bit of construction in this area still. But yeah, so I'm in Sylvan Lake. I'm on the farm. It is dropping a lot of rain.
Okay, so my place is Maple and Orchard Lake.
Oh, so you're not that far. You're just
no, mile or two away. Yeah. I'll need to come over to the restaurant sometime. It is open, it says.
Yes, it is. We open June 1st.
Awesome. And we've got tons of questions.
Okay.
For after your explanation of what the hell we've got here in Sylvan Lake or West Bloomfield or Northern Oakland.
Yeah, Northern Oakland, Sylvan Lake. It is a really large project, and it is going to take some years to become, very more developed. But we have lots of ambitions.
Yeah, I read you're putting in some fruit trees that obviously take a few years to develop.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So this year we put in a lot this year. So we got 12 apples, 3 peaches, 3 plums, 4 pears, 4 apricots. We did over 1,000 asparagus crowns, 150 blueberries, 120 grapes, 25 cherry bushes, 10 raspberry plants.
Love it.
Yeah, it's just 10 gooseberries, blackberries.
I thought I was doing good when I had 18 tomato plants.
Oh wow, yeah. I have I have over probably about over 1,000 feet of tomato plants.
Goodness. And I've done potatoes in pots, and they've been doing well.
Yeah, potatoes and pots do really well. People don't realize how easy it is.
I tried to do it last year and they were terrible. I put them in the ground and they were flooded last year too.
Oh, really?
Surprisingly, they came up again this year.
Oh, yeah.
Those same potatoes.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to let you hang on just a second while we do our basic announcements of the club meeting, and
Sure.
then we can let you loose.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, Lynn, I'll let you do it.
We don't do very much formality with our meetings, but at the beginning of the meeting, we usually start it with the ringing of a bell, which you will hear in a moment. And at the end of the meeting, we do the same, but we also add a little bit of thought-provoking message, which we call our four-way test, and you'll see it before we ring the bell at the end. So anyway.
There we go.
There we go.
They're off and running. This sounds like the Olympic last lap.
Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, this morning we have Katerina here from Sylvan Lake, Sylvan Table is the name of the restaurant.
Mhm.
And it's in Sylvan Lake, so it's only a mile or so from me. But it really intrigued me. I read it a little blurb that Katerina was put in the neighborhood thing. And I thought, wow, I'd love to know about that, because the whole idea of farm to table and sustainability and all those are part of what Rotary's into this year. So it'd be good to hear what an organization like yourselves are doing, and maybe with the recording here, and we can get it out in the press, maybe we can give you some publicity for the restaurant and the farm, obviously. Katerina is the farm manager, but she's going to tell us what that entails and what else she does, and see how we can ask some questions to make sure this all works for us. Okay, Katerina, it's over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Phil. So Sylvan Table has been a long time dream of a lovely couple who's owned a commercial construction company for 25 years. And they've always wanted to kind of have their own restaurant, and they always wanted to have it to be sustainable by having a farm along with it. And so they were taking their time to find some properties, and they sourced this property here, which is about 5 acres in size.
That's quite big.
It is quite big, but once you put a giant bar and restaurant and then a parking lot, and then retention ponds because of management of water on the property, it turns out that the farm is somewhere around anywhere from 2.5 to 3 acres that could go in production, potential production. But
right.
Still, you need management pathways and
absolutely
other parts. So your size starts shrinking down a bit at a time. But I would say in a couple of years, we'll probably be at a capacity about 2.5 acres in production.
Great.
Yeah. And so on the farm, we have 3 passive solar high tunnels. Sometimes they're referred to as hoop houses or greenhouses. And like I said, they're passive solar. So there's a plastic film that is over the tunnel, which increases the soil temperature. Sorry, the wind was blowing the door.
I was going to say, I'm worried about you.
Yeah, well, no, I was like, what's going on? It was just the wind.
The containers shouldn't be moving anywhere.
Right, exactly. No, the containers will not move for sure. They are. This city made us do these giant concrete pylons.
Did they really?
Even though these are very heavy steel containers, we had to do this obnoxious shoring them down to the ground, like they were going to get picked up by, I don't know, a tornado. Anyways, we follow what the city.
Follow the rules. Yep.
Follow the rules. So with our 3 high tunnels, we're able to have season extension. So we can start earlier in the year and we can grow later in the year. And that's really beneficial for something like a restaurant, where right now we're serving anywhere from 200 to 300 people a night, 7 days a week.
Goodness.
And it's because we're new, so people are really excited
Sure.
about us. I'm excited about us. So I understand that, and maybe it might slow down as the winter months come, but right now it's a lot of food to grow for a lot of people on a daily basis, which is interesting.
Yes.
So we have what I'm calling a field. It's really not a field because it's a smaller, but it's a pretty good size. It's 100 feet by 300 feet. So it's a good chunk of a field where we have field crops that we do as well. And we're big into repurposing things.
I
So
wanted to
we
hear
have,
about that too.
yeah, so we have, I repurposed a bunch of gutters that I pulled out of the scrapyard. And so we have strawberries growing on them, and I built these trellises for them. So we have strawberries inside of gutters.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks neat, and it's quite productive that way. And what's really neat is just yesterday, so it's many tiers. I'm gonna see if you can see it from here.
Yep.
Let's see. Do you see?
Oh, I see the.
Oh, nope, sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay. Do you see there is I'm gonna use my finger. That wooden tiered thing, maybe not.
Yep.
Okay. So it's basically just like tiers going down like that. It's an A-frame, and then the gutters are going down staggered like that. And so as strawberries have runners, if I don't know if you're familiar, so it's really easy. It's like the strawberries from one row that has a runner, I can take it and put it into the next gutter and start a whole new strawberry plant from that. So it's really been, it's my first time doing this. I've never done strawberries in gutters before. I've seen lots of farmers do it, market gardeners and whatnot. And I thought, that just seems like, it just seems like more aesthetically, rather than production based. But I'm pretty happy with it. Netting it is not so easy because of birds. But I figured out a new tenting system for it. So it's okay. So as you read on the Nextdoor app, we are currently in an interesting predicament with our farm animals. So I misread, or I didn't actually read the ordinance that said keeping of farm animals. I read the ordinance that said if you have animals, their noise volume is what is a violation of an ordinance. And in parentheses on the ordinance, it said clucking, neighing, mooing. It had barking. It had a lot of animal sounds. So that led me to believe it was okay to have farm animals. So we invested quite a bit into making enclosures, acquiring animals and feeding these animals. And we've had them here since April, before we even opened. And just now in July, the first or second week of July, we were cited with a violation for the ordinance. So it was an honest mistake. It wasn't us trying to get away with anything or anything like that. It was just an honest mistake. And so we're following through with the city doing an appeal. And so we have a meeting on August 11th at the community house here in Sylvan Lake to appeal to have a variance so that we can keep our farm animals. And the importance of the farm animals are really crucial to our concept of this farm table, because I'm not sure if you're aware, Phil, but I mean, the UN and the EPA just put out that about 30%, it is increased, about 30% of what waste goes into our landfills is food.
Didn't know that number.
Yeah, so we have a waste problem in our country.
We certainly do, and I'd like to hear more about that.
Yes, and there are a lot of really great initiatives around the country to try to reduce our waste, repurpose our waste, and farm animals, not just farm animals, but animals eating our waste is the second. Actually, it's the third top way of reducing our waste. The first one is don't grow so much.
Yeah,
right.
There is that part.
Right. Yeah, there is that problem. It is. And I don't know if you know, but Michigan's number 3 in the country for agriculture. Many people don't know that Michigan is an agriculturally rich state. And so,
Well, Lynn's an ex-farmer.
oh yeah?
Yeah, I still got dirt under my fingernails.
Yeah, I don't know how to, I actually, I took my mother out to dinner last night and she's like, you could have cleaned underneath your nails.
Not just paint your nails black.
And I told her, I said, it's tomato resin. It's a stain. It's not even dirt anymore. But so we have a tremendous amount of waste in our country, and that's a big problem. And so we really want to reduce that. And so what's really great is pigs and chickens are some of the most nutrient dense manure that you can get. And pigs, they eat everything. And chickens, they pick through a lot, but they're a good supportive measure. When the pigs don't eat it, they'll go through and kind of pick through it as well. So we have our pigs eating whatever scraps are coming off the kitchen that we're using to prepare.
Sure.
And they also eat any of the unwanted food from our patrons.
Sure.
So if you leave a little bit on your plate, that gets scraped into a bin and it goes to pigs. We also have worms as well.
Yeah.
Yep. So we are processing through worms, pigs, and chickens, as well as a compost for soil creation as well.
My goodness.
So it's so we're really trying to make as many efforts as we can to, we'll never ever be zero waste.
No.
It's just something that it's really it's unrealistic expectation to get there.
Yeah.
But we want to get as close as we can.
Doing our bit.
Yeah, doing our best. And all the cardboard, because this is the first year of the farm, so much has to get established. So we're using a lot of partner farms right now for our restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get cardboard in a lot. And so I'm repurposing that cardboard. It's getting layered on the ground. It's being used in the animal enclosures. It's being used in my lasagna composting style. So we're really, we don't even have a cardboard like dumpster like most restaurants have. They have a trash dumpster, a cardboard dumpster, a glass dumpster, and we just have one dumpster for this place, and it's a small one. And we fill it, but it's really surprising how much waste we are saving from going into landfills.
Yep, cardboard's good in the soil.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
How does the city, village, or whatever look at that as far as not disposing publicly of the garbage?
I feel like I think the conversation is I think I will know how they feel
after the meeting.
11th. Yes,
Yep.
After the meeting. Because currently I think that we haven't really broadcasted or put it out there yet. We're just still trying to get a lot of the pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
So once this shipping container farm barn is together, we'll be hosting all sorts of workshops and clinics.
I'll be there.
Yeah, and educating people, and it won't just be me, leading these. I'm going to draw in other experts from the state. And if I have possibilities, we may even host conferences here for agriculture. So there's a lot of really great ideas, and we're just trying to create and set up the space first, so that we can have those types of events where we can be an access point for educational things on regenerative agriculture, waste management, and even all the way down to just how to start your home garden, or do you hate cutting your grass? Grass. I don't know why people spend so much money on grass. I mean, they treat it, they cut it, and it gives them nothing other than maybe they get to, I don't know how often people get to take off their shoes and go walk in their grass and enjoy it. But for the amount of money and energy and time for grass, it's a really old concept from the 40s and 50s, having your lawn be manicured in this way. And I really kind of hope, and I see the trend coming, that people now get where they want to compete against their neighbor about growing food.
Yeah.
and using, instead of it being about their grass being perfect and manicured, having these really lovely gardens,
Yes, I agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, something that they get back from it, because you're not really getting anything from grass. The only thing good about grass is that there's roots in the ground 365 days of the year.
Yep.
because that's the only thing. You're just keeping the soil biology active. And that's the only positive about grass, I would say.
I leave mine long, but not long. I cut
Yeah.
it and then I use the grass in the compost pile.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Our pigs love to eat. We have 3 little patches of sod because, as you know, doing weddings and events.
You're going to
and
want
whatnot.
outdoors. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was really against having grass. I said, let's just do it. I was like, let's just do clover. You don't have to cut it as much. It's just as soft and lovely on the feet. But it takes a couple years to get a really nice matted clover.
Sure.
And you know, with restaurant opening, they're like, we're just putting in sod. So I said, okay, sod it is.
You won on that one.
Yes, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to bend like bamboo, and sometimes you have to be very firm.
Yes.
So what else can I say about, we have 12 bee hives as well.
Oh,
so
my
we
goodness.
do, yeah. And, so we're really trying to be as, regenerative in our practices. So, trying to heal the earth with growing the right amount of things and crop rotations and native pollinator plants. It's a really large project.
Do you accept donations of produce that people might grow in their gardens?
So we've had an interesting amount of people from the community say, my zucchini plant's going crazy. Would you like it? So it's a little difficult because of the health department.
You bet.
So unfortunately, that's not something we can do.
No.
Sadly. I love the idea. I think it's a brilliant idea. I just wish we could figure out a way with the health department to get around that, you know?
Just set up a little stall outside for free vegetables.
Right.
Not from your farm.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Anyone want to donate vegetables, but
Just put them here on this table.
right.
These are from the neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, with the main thing is traceability.
Sure.
So, you know,
Yeah, if your name's on it.
Yeah, it's a big concern. So, but that would be a great idea, Lynn. I'm sure you said you used to be a farmer. I'm sure you have a really lovely garden.
Well, no, I wouldn't call it lovely at all, but I've got 2 rows of beans across the back of my garage, which is about 24 feet.
It's a lot of
Black
beans.
beans and green beans, and I grow them every year, and most of them I end up saving the seeds. I've got more seeds than I know what to do with, but it's always interesting to know whether there is a resource to dispose of them.
Well, there are resources. In fact, there's a good friend of mine. His name is John. I always mispronounce his last name. It's like Wyrock. It's like WYERCH, Wyrock, something like that. He is the president of Reroot Pontiac, and they do a tremendous amount of produce to the community. So if you have anything that you are like, I can't pickle this or process it or, you know, eat it myself or save the seed, then that would be a great source. And there's a lot of food banks you can drop off produce to as well. They obviously prefer non-perishable items, just because
Sure.
it's easier for them to manage. But I know that in Pontiac, at Reroot Pontiac, they would definitely take some fresh produce to.
We'll look into that.
Yeah, and I can connect you with with John. He's a wonderful man, and he's very intelligent. He actually just received his certification on green. He's the only one in the Michigan for greening infrastructures. So how to green our already, you know, systems that we have in place.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a wonderful person. I think that you guys should definitely connect with.
If you send me an email through
Yeah.
him, including him, I'll contact him. The
will.
Rotary Club could probably make some project out of this idea of either sharing food or especially your whole idea on recycling waste. Not
Yes,
that I'm going out to get some pigs or chickens, but because I'd
yes,
be in the same zoning problem as you.
right,
I bet it's the
right.
chickens that are making the noise. You don't have a rooster, do you?
We do have one rooster who will be going to another farm shortly.
I was going to say he needs to be rehomed.
Yes.
That's
Um,
that's
he-
the one that's causing the problem.
yes. Well, no, he's really, he's not
He's a
loud at
quiet
all.
rooster.
He's actually a quiet rooster. Like I haven't even heard him yet today. Um,
He gets up late.
yeah, he's a late
He's a
riser.
little sleeper.
But I think the Rotary Club could definitely do something along with John at Reroute Pontiac. Um,
And maybe we could do something in collaboration with your restaurant and farm.
yeah, absolutely.
There's a
Uh,
obviously there's a number of Rotary clubs around. There's
yes.
53 clubs in this local Southeast Michigan, Southwest Ontario. That's where those clubs are in the
Yeah.
district. And they'd love to hear this story. So you may get
Yeah.
more requests for
Well,
speaking.
yeah, well, actually, I'm very familiar with Rotary. I was fortunate enough, I grew up in the city of Birmingham.
There you go.
Yeah, when I was in high school, Rotary helped sponsor me for some travel and
Awesome.
some continuing education that I couldn't get through the school system.
Yep.
So and even with some college support. So I'm familiar with
Cool.
some of the Rotary Club, and I've always been grateful for them because I feel like a lot of the work that they do is it's nice because it makes such an impact. Often some organizations,
Yep.
they're so large that they don't hit the actual real level people. And I feel like that's what Rotary Club does, is it really has a way of supporting the actual real community, firsthand, you know?
Right. Well, Rotary just took on the environment as one of their causes, if you like, this year at Rotary
Nice.
International Worldwide. So I've been trying to find ways of getting other organizations involved with our club or other clubs in the environment. And this is right down our alley.
Yes, absolutely. And then with John at Reroute will even be another great resource for you.
Okay, so
There's a lot of interest in many Rotarians right now about managing waste, and whether that's being plastic in the ocean or whatever. I mean, it's a broad subject, but that's one that a lot of them will and would identify with your program, because you're doing the on the ground kind of control that is needed in a much broader perspective than what you are. So you're the seed being planted.
Well said, Lynn.
And flourish,
Yes, well said. And that's what we're really hoping to do, is because there aren't many establishments or institutions that have taken waste management as a priority. And unfortunately, you can see what is happening to our country and our globe. And I think that there's a lot of momentum right now for that. And I'm very happy to see it. And I'm very fortunate to be in this position within a restaurant, within the food industry specifically, to work on learning how to negotiate it better, and how to better use it. So the EPA is a hierarchy of food waste. And like I said, the first one was, stop growing so much. And the second was, stop wasting so much of it.
Yep.
And the third is use it with animals, let it be animal feed. And so I feel like there's a lot of opportunities right now for individuals and organizations to come to a place to start to repurpose what they're using. And they're starting to become interested in it.
So are you doing open houses yet, or you're talking about doing things like that?
Yes, we will. So as soon as, because right now it's a bit of a construction site on the farm side, because we're still getting our shipping containers, a wash pack station for where I wash the produce, and we're still getting our ducks in a row so that we can next year or through the winter maybe maybe January and February, offer clinics and just a community space to have conversations like this and to learn from one another and to dialogue on what we can do better.
Well, we'll come to eat first.
Okay, definitely come to eat first. The reservations are very booked up, so if you go online,
Wow.
you can reserve online, but that's just because we're new. But
Yep.
I'll tell you right now, if you show up at 5 o'clock, you can sit right at the bar or the patio. Those are first come, first serve spaces.
Awesome.
And I love, if you're just in a party of two, I would suggest going straight to the bar. It's a really great, it's a nice bar space. You're in the center of this 300-year-old barn that we've repurposed.
Yeah, the description was awesome.
Yeah, it really is.
I didn't know there was a 300-year-old barn in Sylvan Lake.
Well, it was actually originally in Maine, and it was going to be destroyed. That's probably one of our least green things that we've done for our business is we dismantled a barn in Maine, transported it here, and reassembled it.
Good God.
But that I recognize people are like, well, how are you being what's your carbon footprint when you did that? Yes, that was a heavy carbon footprint.
Still think it was a great thing.
But it is like the heart of what we're trying to offer. So it's like the bones, and it literally is the bones.
I love it.
Of it. So it wasn't my favorite thing when I came into the project. I was like, oh, where did this barn come from? They're like, Maine. I was like, we couldn't find one in Michigan. Yeah, so there wasn't one of the size and the age, that we needed. And so
I still think it's a fantastic idea. Recycling.
It really is. And it's like a piece of history here.
Yep, absolutely.
Even if it isn't from our state, it's really incredible. And it's all the original wood. So when you're inside the restaurant, the walls are the original walls that framed that barn.
Fantastic.
So we had to build it outside in. It was very interesting.
Talk a little bit about water. What are your water programs related to the project?
Yeah, so that 300-year-old barn's got a giant metal roof on it. And so what we've did is we have storm drains that connect down to some piping that lead right to a cistern that I filter, and that's what I use for the irrigation on the farm. We also, when we were building it, we did the basement, and we hit a spring. So we have our runoff from our roof, and we have this spring that irrigates our entire farm. So we're not even using any municipal water. And then on the farm barn is a live roof, because water runoff is a large problem that we have. So this is our way of mitigating that, is that we're using it and it's just, we're not growing food on the roof. We're growing, ornamentals and grasses and natives and, some pollinators. But yeah, so that's the way that we manage our water. And in the restaurant, you'll see if you come to use our hand sinks in the bathroom, many people complain about it. They're like, it just shuts off. I don't think the sensor's working. but it's intentionally a short sensor, because in reality, you just need to get the hands wet, lather. You don't need the water running.
No, you don't.
Yeah, lather, and then, then wash it off. So many people, and I think there's steps that we need to work on, like maybe with some signs,
yep.
And, but we're getting there little at a time.
Yes, it is working.
Yes. The water is working. We intentionally have it on a very short timer, because we don't need to be using excess water.
Like the rest of us do.
Right.
Does your farm then have a pond on it?
Yes. So we have 3 ponds. So we have, they're retention ponds. So the first pond is surrounded by what we call in permaculture a food forest. It's where there are fruit trees and bushes and pollinators and a mixture of flowers and beneficials. And that first pond is kind of our first spot of where the water runs into. And then it overflows into our back 2 ponds, where I'm starting to aerate it, and possibly next year spring, I will populate it with some fish.
Hey.
I did a casting of millet for the ducks earlier this year. So we have, offerings for the wildlife as well.
Excuse that ring.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah, it is. And then I was really fighting to try to use our runoff from the roof as that gray water for our toilets, because to me it's asinine that we urinate and defecate in clean water,
Yes.
and then and then it goes
And we have
gets
to pay to
treated.
treat it.
Then we have to treat it. So it just makes no sense to me why we would,
If we're
yeah.
lucky, we treat it. Otherwise, it comes up in people's basements in Detroit.
Right. Oh yeah. So I really tried, but building inspectors and health code problems, we couldn't get through it to have that happen. But I really wanted that to be part of our project. So I hope that in the future, when we as a nation, we get into a place where we recognize that water is a precious commodity. I feel like in America, especially,
Another Rotary project, water.
Right. We really are so wasteful on water.
Yeah.
We really take it for granted that we can just turn on this tap and just have access like that. I mean, I've traveled all over the globe, and I've been to places where I've had to walk, 6 miles to a pump.
Yep.
And then pump it and then carry it back those
As
6
the
miles.
native people there do.
Yeah. So, it's really challenging to give that perspective to individuals who have always been who have been nurtured into this lifestyle of having water and access to that in such a readily available manner. So it doesn't,
right.
It's not in their field of understanding that it is a precious commodity, and that we really need to be more intentional with how we manage it.
So, farm to table. I know you're in your early days, but I assume at least you're supplying some of the crops to the tables today in your restaurant.
Yeah, we're about, right now, I would say about 35 to 40%.
That's good going in the first year.
It is. I did some we set up the high tunnels last year in June. So we were able to overwinter carrots and beets. And so we now have them like we have a retail area where we have like pickled beets and radishes.
Wow.
And carrots. So anything that doesn't get used in the kitchen to go to people's plates, we process it and preserve it, ferment it. We have all sorts of methods to save the season.
I love it.
Yeah. So we, right now we have got tomatoes, green beans, peppers, all of our salad greens, radishes, turnips, broccoli, cauliflower. I'm
just about to plant all those for the fall.
Yes. You should be planting those now. This is the time. I know.
My first time doing radishes and beets and so on.
Yeah. Well, radishes go fast.
So they tell me.
20 to 30 days and you'll have radishes.
Now I'm trying to grow those Chioggia beets, the ones that are circles of white.
Yeah, that's an Italian beet. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a question that I wanted a little more conversation on, and that is the staging of crops, whether you've got housing over them or whatever.
You have a calendar for your crops.
If you plant a bean, it's going to take 60 days or approximately to bear fruit. How many times in your definite experience, how many times can you regrow a particular crop within a given year?
So it depends obviously on the crop, on its maturity. When it matures, like you said, green beans, that's a 60-day crop. And also I do a lot of crop rotation because certain crops pull certain nutrients out of that soil. So with crop rotation, I'm trying to manage the nutrients in the soil by rotation. So for instance, so for instance, where I had radish, I did a large bed of radishes, and I also do interplanting as well. So there'll be like in a 30-inch bed, there'll be green beans in the center, and then framing those green beans will be radishes. So because green beans need a good amount of nitrogen, radishes help bring nitrogen into the soil. So they're a companion planting is what it's called. But Lynn, to get back to what you're asking, we call that succession planting.
Yep.
So, so I will, I will stage out, and also weather, you can't control Mother Nature.
Nope.
So if we
Rain.
get rain, or if we get a spurt of some really hot days, plants really don't like giant
Nope.
fluctuations in heat, or temperature, or even water and dryness and moisture, So sure, you can read your seed packet and it'll say 60 days you'll have fruit. But depending what happens in those 60 days, can shift it a week or
Oh,
two.
sure.
So I try to plan for having a window of a week or two, kind of shifting for things. But it's difficult. So I'm for green beans, I sow about every other week.
Oh
So
my
that
goodness.
we have consistent supply. Carrots, I'll sow carrots on Monday, and I'll sow carrots again on Friday.
Goodness me.
And that's just, we also have carrots on the menu. And so it's just, we got to grow carrots.
Speaking of carrots, I've got a small area next to my driveway. You'll probably laugh at this, but it's one of my garden spots. I say, as long as you got to look at it, you might as well be able to eat it too.
Absolutely.
But anyway, I've got 4 tomato plants, and this is a space between my driveway and my fenced yard. So it's probably only about 18 to 24 inches, whatever. But I've got 4 tomato plants being the large background. Then I've got a row of beets and a row of carrots.
That's excellent.
And so, that's kind of why I'm trying to figure out where I can dispose of all that stuff, because there's no way I can eat it all.
But you're not planting every week or every day.
No, I'm not quite into that yet, but
I'll be into succession planting this year. I'm going to try it.
The thought of it is right, though. If you plant a foot of carrots and 2 weeks later you plant another foot of carrots,
Yep.
you're going to have carrots until you won't know what to do with them.
Right. With growing in successions, then you're growing the right amount for yourself or for your family,
right,
or for a small community,
instead of growing and throwing.
Right, exactly. Or growing and just trying to find outlets for it,
Yeah, as Lynn is doing now. Yeah,
which is fine. I mean, you can pickle those carrots. There's ways you can and pickle those beets. There's ways you can preserve and not waste what you.
My mother was the epitome of the planned canner. Whether it was tomatoes or peaches or whatever it happened
Everything.
at the time of the year. But like most people, I didn't pay attention at the time.
No. Too busy
so
going out and having
all
fun.
the tricks that she knew. I've still got some of the bottles in the canner, but I don't have.
You don't do it much.
The knowledge to put it all together and do it in the right.
That is something we're definitely going to do next fall, is how to save the season for the winter months.
Right.
That's a great.
That's
a great
idea. Root cellar management, canning, fermenting. Yeah. So
your plan there then would to be having fresh vegetables year round, if at all possible.
Right.
Freshly grown and eaten.
Yes.
My mother came from the time era where she canned beef.
Yep. And chicken.
And we had a cellar room, shelving all around. And by the end of the summer, it was full.
Yep.
And by spring, it was nearly gone, but not necessarily.
Yeah.
and the next rotation of growing would fill the shelves again.
Yep. Oh yeah. And it's really also not only preserving with canning, fermenting. There's also ways of building cold frames, so you can still grow spinach and beets and carrots and kale. You can still grow a lot of.
I was going to buy one or build one.
Yeah, they're so easy to build. They're so easy. And that's something else, like we've got all these things that we want to offer the community, like come here and build a cold frame for your winter farm,
I'll be first in line.
Yeah. So we have a tremendous amount of ideas and things that we want to bring to the community.
No, it's not a vegetarian restaurant.
No, it's not. So we source our meat locally within 200 miles of Sylvan Lake. And recently we're doing some fish that is not in Michigan. Our trout is right from Jackson County.
Okay.
But we just recently put scallops on the menu. We had a local scallop farmer out on the east side who has said, "Hey, we would like we like what you're
Like
doing.
to give you some produce.
Yeah, we would like to offer you guys some scallops, so we have that currently on, which is, it's not a Michigan thing, but it's it's a fine dance. You want to offer what a fine dining can offer. I mean, we're never going to have lobster on the menu or anything like that. But yeah, so we source all of our meat locally. And that's really nice because it's all homegrown, antibiotic free, grass fed.
Now I was looking at your I was looking at your menu, and there was some marks or indicators. What does VG mean?
Vegan.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So we have vegetarian, vegan, and gluten free, I think are their
And is
symbols.
that that's the one that looks like a little tree with a line through it?
Yes.
Nice.
Yep, that's a plant-based.
Wow.
Yeah.
The menu looks fantastic. It
And
really does.
And it rotates a lot because
must
we shift the
You're
season.
constantly producing something.
Yep.
Well, I'll be looking forward to seeing all of those,
Yes.
because I'd even start asking what varieties of the various crops you're getting to grow here in Michigan.
Oh yeah, there's well, we have over 100 crops on the farm. So there's a lot going on. Brussels, cabbage, cauliflower. I mean, like, just a lot. We're even growing a lot of gourds and pumpkins, and
Yeah, I just ordered, and they're on their way to me from rareseeds.com
oh yeah,
to get the fall variety of seeds.
yes,
They recommended certain seeds.
yeah.
So they're on their way here.
Let me ask a question about pest control. How do you handle the pests on your farm?
She shoots them.
Well, it's quite difficult, to be honest with you. We did this year, or at the end of last year, install a 6-foot fence. So we have successfully reduced the deer pressure on the front part of the farm because we're growing everywhere. The farm, there is a dedicated farm space, but in the front of the restaurant, I have our grapes, I have our cherries. There's a lot also. Our hops are out there as well. So
Beer.
yeah, right. Yeah. So I plant a lot of beneficials. So like nasturtium really helps with the aphid pressure. I also release lacewings or some ladybugs. And I have live traps out for the woodchucks.
Those are bloody nuisance, those things.
Yes, they are. I mean,
they eat everything.
They do. And one woodchuck for one den can move 600 pounds of earth.
No, that's waste.
And that exactly. So so I live trap and transport them to state parks. So that's my methodology for a majority of our pest problems.
I'm afraid with the woodchucks, I will not admit on this recording what I do to the woodchucks when I catch them with a live trap.
Well, on my old farm, before I became a part of this project, I would just kill them.
Yep.
But being a part of this project here, and it's more in the community's eye, even though on farms where we're getting our meat and our produce from, that's what farmers are doing.
Sure.
Here, a little bit of scrutiny from the community.
Yeah.
They don't like us killing.
Need to be
I understand
politically aware.
Exactly. And we're not going to slaughter our chickens or pigs on site. And we're not going to slaughter them at all. They're laying hens for eggs, and pigs are strictly for waste. And when they get to a too large of a size for our space,
then they can go to the slaughterhouse.
Yeah, they're going to go to another.
They're properly dealt with.
Yes, exactly. And it won't be done here.
No.
Yeah.
Well, Well, I think
I was gonna
so
say, I
far
only,
this
I only have like 3 more minutes of
I'm
time.
gonna stop now anyway. This has been fantastic. I mean, absolutely fantastic. I'm sure we'll have you back to explain all the other things you're doing. And I think I'll make sure that Rotary gets involved with you in a bigger way. So you'll get phone calls from one or more of the 53 Rotary clubs that want to hear the whole story, and
Sure.
you may even get Rotary involved in helping with the project if that's going to be possible.
Oh, I would definitely think it
So
would be.
that being said, I'll let you go, Lynn. If you just want to finish quickly,
Yep, quickly.
say it very quickly.
The rotary four-way test is something that we review at the end of our meetings, and it's kind of our mantra to go forward for another week or 2 weeks or whatever to the next meeting. But the rotary four-way test, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned?
concerned?
Will it build goodwill
and better friendships? Will it be
And will it be
beneficial to all
beneficial
concerned?
And I'm sure that that really fits your circumstance.
That last part really
So-
fits what you're doing there.
All 4 of those really are in alignment with us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So maybe you'll hear from us in other ways.
I
Anyway,
would,
Christina,
I look forward to
thank
it.
you very, very, very much. I love
Yep.
it.
Thank you both.
Thank
Okay,
you, Christina.
Have
Well,
a great day.
we'll let you go, Christina. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
bye-bye.